new dads and mental health. It might surprise you to learn that men can also develop postpartum depression. Studies have shown that about 10% of fathers struggle with a serious mental condition. And men were found to have the highest levels, in fact, of depression when the baby was 3 to 6 months old. CBS News Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Jon LaPook is here with more, including the signs men should look out for. I think it's telling that my instinct as a man is to make a joke of this, but it's actually deadly serious.
It is serious, and today's segment's all about awareness, awareness, awareness. Remember, we had to have awareness about postpartum depression in women, then postpartum anxiety disorder in women, and now postpartum depression in men, which is a real thing, about 10% of men.
So what's happening exactly? Because men don't go through the hormonal changes that women do. Why is this happening and how does it manifest?
Not as dramatic hormonal changes, but actually there's some studies about that. During pregnancy and after pregnancy, testosterone level has been shown to go down. And you know the skin to skin that women want to have, of course, with the baby, now they're encouraging skin to skin with men because it's been shown, even just holding the baby, to increase oxytocin levels and bonding. But the symptoms can be tricky, right? So when you're a newborn, when you're a new father, a new parent, you're tired, you may be sad, you may feel like out of control. But there are some specific things that are sort of very typical of postpartum depression in men, which is increase in irritability, in anger, in isolation. And here's something I didn't know, which was an increase in risky behavior. So whether it's risk-taking, gambling, substance abuse.
My father smoked a joint in the delivery room and almost got me taken away to
child services.
Yeah. That was risky behavior, I will say. I don't think he was depressed either. That was just him. So it's interesting the timing of this. Usually doesn't happen in the delivery room. It happens 3 to 6 months out for men. That's when they really get knocked sideways. Why do you think that is?
But it can happen any time. I mean, I've been doing a deep dive on this. Yes, maybe 3 to 6 months, and it's a little earlier in women. But in women and in men, it can happen any time, and you really want to be aware of it because, you know, we spoke to Dr. Chris Schmitz from Rutgers Medical School a couple of days ago, and she's done research on the effect of this postpartum depression on the kids. And it increases something called ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences, which can increase the risk of problems in school and behavioral issues.
So, Dr. LaPook, do we understand why this happens? How much of it is the environment? Because the change to your life is so big. And when the kids are that little and no one is sleeping and you feel like your life has been turned upside down, both parents, right? Like a lot of it must also come from the environment or do we think it's chemical?
And I think it's a combination as always. And that's all three of us have had newborns, right? We all remember those times in the middle of the night when you're like, and you feel out of control. And do I know, where's the playbook on what to do? So it can be tricky to say, well, this is out of the normal for this. Yeah. So I think that's the challenge. And the American Academy of Pediatrics had an editorial a couple of years ago that said that pediatricians, when they're screening parents, when they're screening mothers for postpartum, should also screen fathers.
It's great advice.
I remember you always get those surveys to ask, you know, how many days in the last week have you been sad? And I'm like, how truthful do I want to be?
Screen the fathers.
Yeah,
we have to test the fathers too.
Well, because here's, I mean, I go back to my initial instinct to, you know, laugh it off, make a joke of it, but you shouldn't. And so, I mean, men don't get the help they need because there's a stigma or
there is a stigma. Cultural. It's also, you know, man, strong like bull, right? Testosterone. Maybe that's why the testosterone goes down a little bit to maybe keep you at home a little bit more. Who knows in terms of evolution why that happens. But there's no doubt that men tend not to seek help, especially for psychiatric issues.
Also, at a time like that, when the family is so fragile, when the mother or the person who had the child can feel so fragile, a lot of times that spouse is supporting the other parent as well. I'm not surprised.
In those early months, I mean, to get the time, but you need to.
All right.
Yourself, Thank
Dr.
you.
LaPook, thank you so much.